The factory floor roared with the sound of machines, metal grinding against metal in a rhythm that never slept. Daniel Cross, one of the richest men in the country, walked through the vast hall with his executives trailing behind him. To them, this was just another inspection. To Daniel, it was a place filled with ghosts, memories of the early days when he had built everything from nothing. He barely listened as the manager explained production numbers. His eyes drifted across the workers lined along the conveyor belt, tired faces, grease-stained uniforms, people who would forget him the moment he left. Then it happened. A young woman reached for a falling tool and lifted her head. Daniel stopped walking. The world seemed to collapse into silence. The machines blurred. The voices around him faded. All he could see was her face. Her eyes were Lily's eyes, wide, gentle, unmistakable. The same curve of her lips, the same small scar above the right eyebrow. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. His heart slammed violently against his chest. "No, this isn't possible," he whispered. 15 years ago, he had stood beside a tiny coffin. He had watched the earth cover his daughter. He had lived every day since with a wound that never healed. And yet, standing just meters away, was a living reflection of the child he had lost. The young woman noticed his stare. Confused, she wiped her hands on her uniform and looked back at him. Their eyes met. For a brief second, something strange passed between them, a spark of recognition neither could explain. Anna felt an unexpected tightening in her chest, as if she were staring at someone she had once known in a forgotten dream. Daniel staggered slightly. One of his assistants reached out. "Sir, are you all right?" Daniel nodded stiffly, unable to look away. Fear and hope tangled inside him. Hope was dangerous. Hope had destroyed him once before. He forced himself to turn away, but the image burned into his mind. As he continued walking, his hands trembled. Behind him, the machines continued their endless rhythm. But for Daniel Cross, time had stopped, because somewhere in that factory, his past had just looked him in the eyes. That night, Daniel Cross sat alone in his penthouse, the city lights glittering below him like a distant, uncaring ocean. The factory visit replayed again and again in his mind. No matter how hard he tried, he could not forget her face. It haunted him with a familiarity that felt impossible and yet undeniable. He poured a drink but didn't touch it. Instead, Daniel picked up his phone and made a single call. "I need everything on one worker," he said quietly. "No alerts, no mistakes." By morning, the first report arrived. Her name was Anna Reed, age 20. Employed at the factory for 6 months. No criminal record, no known relatives. Raised through a chain of foster homes since early childhood. The words hit Daniel harder than he expected. Lily would have been the same age. Daniel closed his eyes. Coincidence doesn't feel like this, he thought. The next day, he returned to the factory, this time without an entourage. He watched from a distance as Anna worked. She moved with quiet focus, unaware she was being observed. Every small gesture, how she tucked her hair behind her ear, how she frowned in concentration, cut through him like a blade. They were Lily's habits. Summoning his courage, Daniel asked the supervisor to gather the workers. He thanked them, offering a rare bonus. When Anna stepped forward to receive hers, Daniel's hands shook. "Anna, is it?" he asked. "Yes, sir," she replied, her voice calm but curious. Her voice. Daniel swallowed hard. "How long have you worked here?" "Since spring," she said. It's honest work. Something in her tone, proud, resilient, made his chest tighten. Lily had always spoken the same way. Anna noticed his intense expression. "Sir, do I know you?" The question nearly broke him. "No," Daniel answered softly. "I'm sure you don't." Yet as she turned to leave, Anna felt a strange pull, like a thread tightening around her heart. She paused, glancing back at him. For a moment, the world narrowed to just the two of them. Daniel watched her walk away, the distance between them feeling unbearable. He knew then that this wasn't just resemblance. It was something deeper, something buried. That evening, Daniel ordered a DNA test, using an old medical record he had never been able to destroy. As he sealed the envelope, his hands trembled, not with fear of the truth, but with fear of hope. The envelope lay unopened on Daniel Cross's desk for 3 days. He had built empires, faced hostile takeovers, and survived financial wars without hesitation. Yet this single piece of paper terrified him. If he opened it and was wrong, the fragile hope keeping him alive would shatter. If he was right, his entire past would be rewritten. On the fourth night, just before dawn, Daniel finally broke the seal. Match confirmed. 99.9%. The words blurred as tears filled his eyes. His breath came in sharp, broken gasps. He pressed a trembling hand to his mouth, stifling a sound that was half a sob, half a prayer. Lily was alive. His daughter had been alive all these years. But joy quickly gave way to rage. Daniel dug deeper. Old police reports, medical files, witness statements that never made sense before. With new determination and unlimited resources, the truth emerged like a wound being reopened. The car accident from 15 years ago had been staged. Bribes had silenced officials. A rival businessman, desperate to break Daniel, had ordered Lily's kidnapping. She hadn't died. She had been taken. Daniel slammed his fist against the desk, the sound echoing through the empty room. "I failed you," he whispered, guilt crushing his chest. While he had drowned himself in work and grief, his child had grown up alone, passed from one foster home to another, her identity erased. Across the city, Anna sat in her small apartment, staring at the ceiling. For days, strange dreams had haunted her, memories that didn't belong to her. A man's voice calling her name. A garden filled with sunlight. A music box playing a soft melody that made her cry without knowing why. Something inside her was waking up. Daniel watched old home videos that night. Lily at 5 years old, smiling at the camera. He froze when she laughed, because Anna laughed the same way. There was no denying it anymore. He made one final decision. Not as a billionaire, not as a powerful man, but as a father. He would tell her the truth, even if she rejected him, even if it shattered her world. She deserved to know who she was. As dawn broke over the city, Daniel stood by the window, clutching the DNA report to his chest, whispering a promise into the light. "I'm coming for you, Lily." The next morning, Daniel returned to the factory, his heart pounding as if it had grown wings overnight. Every step felt surreal, familiar yet strange, like walking into a dream that teetered between hope and fear. Anna was already at her workstation, focused on assembling machinery. She looked up briefly, smiled politely at a colleague, and then returned to her work. Daniel approached slowly, his voice unusually soft. "Anna, may I speak with you for a moment?" She looked at him, curious. "Of course, sir." He led her to a quiet office at the back of the factory, away from the hum of machines and chatter of coworkers. Once inside, he closed the door and studied her face, memorizing every detail, the same delicate features, the same expressive eyes. "Anna," he began, his voice trembling, "what I'm about to say, it may be hard to believe. But you're not just Anna Reed. You're Lily Cross." Her brow furrowed. I don't understand." Daniel reached into his coat and pulled out old photographs. Lily playing in the garden, holding his hand, smiling with a music box she had loved. He placed them on the table one by one. "She's me," Anna whispered, disbelief coating her words. Daniel nodded, tears forming in his eyes. "Yes, you survived the accident, or rather, the staged kidnapping. You were raised away from me, but you are my daughter. My Lily." For a long moment, Anna remained silent, her eyes wide and her mind racing. Then she held up a small music box from her pocket, a box she had always carried, never knowing why it felt so important. Daniel's breath caught. It was the same one from the photos. I remember this," she murmured, tears spilling down her cheeks. I remember a garden, your voice." Emotion overwhelmed them both. Daniel stepped forward and gently pulled her into an embrace. She clung to him, shaking with the weight of years lost, of memories returned, and of a love she had never stopped yearning for. "I'm so sorry, Lily," Daniel whispered. "I searched for you. I failed, but I'll never let you go again." They sat together as the sun rose higher, spilling warm light through the window. Every tear they shed, every word they spoke, mended the years that had been stolen from them. In that moment, Daniel realized something he had long forgotten. Wealth, power, success, all of it meant nothing without this. Father and daughter, lost but now found, finally shared what they had both longed for. A second chance at life, at love, at family. And in that embrace, the years of pain, regret, and longing melted away, replaced by hope that would never fade again.